Hello everybody, John Craig here with Performance Plus Tennis. Welcome to today's video. We're going to take a close look at the serve of Tommy Paul, who's having an amazing breakout year here in 2024. The new American #1 player, making a deep run at Wimbledon with a great serving performance so far, serving up a ton of aces, very few double faults, winning 82% of his first serve points. And the fundamentals of his serve are a good reason why. But before we get started, let's give a big shout out here to Court Level Tennis for providing the footage for today's video. They have a great channel here on YouTube. Check them out. And there's a lot of great coverage that you can watch and enjoy. Okay, so let's go ahead and get into the serve here. And the first thing I want you to notice about Tommy is how he does this routine every time. He receives the ball and he gets set up. Make sure that his feet are set up properly, that his feet are set up, goes into his routine. And in his routine, you can see that his weight is shifted forward, which is going to help set up his rhythm for his serve. And when he gets going here, he resets his hands. And before he starts entering his serve, his hands are reset, but the heel is still up in the air here in the back. Looks really, really good. He's going to use this to get his rhythm, okay? And you can see he has a perfect, ideal continental grip. It's absolutely perfect, okay? Everything looks really good. I also like the way his racket is pointing down the target line. It sets his hand and his wrist position in a similar feel and position as it's going to be in contact. And for me, that really helps me quite a bit. So pay attention to the position you're in here in your setup with your hands in the racket. Okay? Now he's going to go into his serve. Look how his weight shifted to the back foot. And now his back foot is flat on the court. Clearly his weight is on the back leg now. And he's coming up here, his hands separate away, leading with the left hand into the release point. Look here, and you can see now the palm is down, the racket face is down, the weight is still on the back foot, and the head is starting to tilt away to the left, which we'll talk about a little bit later. Now, the ball continues to rise, and we're going to go slow motion here. The ball is going to go out of his hand, and once it leaves his hand, his left hand is going to continue to rise here, and it's going to lead him right into this trophy position. So when the ball gets to the top, Tommy is perfectly loaded here. So let's take a look at his trophy position. The feet are perfect. The back heel's in the air, the front heel's in the air. He's got a very nice knee flex, probably more than an amateur player is going to get or need, but it's a very nice knee flex. Notice too how his right knee is flexed a little bit more than his left knee is a little lower. And that's because the hip is naturally going to be a little bit lower too, which is going to somewhat match his shoulder angle. Not quite as much, but the right hip's going to be lower, so that right knee is going to have a little more flex in it, and the knee is definitely going to have a little bit lower position. This is perfect, okay? The alignment is also perfect, okay, keeping him perpendicular or slightly beyond perpendicular to his target line. So everything looks really good here. Also notice how his palm is facing upward in the trophy position here, and his head is definitely out of the way here, as you can see, looking really, really good. One thing I will note here is his elbow tends to be higher than a lot of players. If we reset that, I'm going to reset that line again. His elbow tends to be a little bit higher than his shoulder line, but actually that's going to work in his favor because he can lengthen his lag, and you're going to see that in a little bit here. So now let's take one look at another thing that I always like to do. I always like to look at ball toss height, because if you watch Tommy hit a serve here, and we're going to go back and watch him hit a serve, it looks like he hits the ball at the apex. Look, it looks like it barely falls at all. But when we advance forward here and we take a look at his serve, and when the ball gets up to the apex, right here, right there, we're going to mark that line. And now we're going to go to contact. Remarkable, isn't it? It's amazing that the ball actually drops probably 24 inches because the racket's 27. Look at the racket. Look at the racket length here. Clean that up. Put a better line there. We know his apex was up in this area. So, he definitely, let's go back up here and look at it, see if we can find that apex. Keep going, the ball. See, it's just about to that line, isn't it? So there it is. So you can see that he's definitely getting about 24 inches of ball drop to racket contact. See that? Look at that. Beautiful. So it looked like he was hitting the ball at the apex. I bring this up because there's a lot of coaches out there saying hit the ball at the apex. Very, very few players do it. It doesn't really work for most players, so I wouldn't recommend you do that, okay? Let the ball drop 24 inches. It gives you lots of time to get into a loaded position, go through the full range of motion, and get the ball at the top of the contact. Now, I want to note one other thing here, too. He's hitting a flatter serve here, and you're going to see later in the video, we're going to look at some different serves. But look at the angle of his racket on contact. It's slightly inside the left hand, the hand, not the left hand, the right hand. A slight angle inside the right hand. You do not want to hit your serve with a racket directly above your hand because you'll just weaken your contact and eliminate the rotation that you want from your shoulder, which we'll talk about as well. Okay? So let's see what happens here. Let's go back again. Kind of getting ahead of myself a little bit, but I want you to see some key pieces. Notice how his knees are falling as the ball's rising. When the ball begins to descend, he's in perfect position to spring up on it. And what's going to trigger his motion, and this is so important, is watch how the left hand will pull away and tuck in a semicircle while the legs drive forward and upward. Watch. Up. And watch the racket fall as the body moves. And you've got to get this. You've got to get the racket to make its move here because of the movement the body makes. In this position right here, I see so many recreational players with the racket already over here. You want to keep the palm down and the racket down as long as possible and let the movement of the body cause the racket to fall and rise, and it will. If you're relaxed and loose, it will fall and rise, okay? Next up, notice the sequencing here. This is so important too. Another key thing that I see with so many players. The left hand's got to pull away, the legs are going to drive, and that triggers the swing. Now watch where the left hand is. It's already down. You can't see it particularly right here, but it is as low as the tip of the racket. It's already down. So if you have a coach telling you to keep your left arm up, how long do you keep the left arm up? You keep it up until you're ready to make your move, and the left arm is a catalyst to get your swing to fall and rise naturally. Okay? Beautiful position here. Racket's coming up on edge beautifully behind the ball. Rotates into that beautiful contact with that slight angle from the right hand. Perfect. He's not going to pronate as much through this because he's hitting and projecting out towards his target, hitting a flat slice serve. Looks really, really good. Okay? Very, very cool serve. Love it. Now, he gets a pretty good back bend here. He even gets a little bit more on his kick serve, as you'll see a little bit later. And that's okay because watch him get out of it. Watch him come up and get out of it and get himself into a fairly vertical position. So he uses the leg drive beautifully and the shoulder rotation to get him into contact. Okay? Now, look how his head also is out of the way. We talked about that earlier. Your head has to get out of the way so your shoulder can get up. If your head is in the way, you'll never get into this position where you've got this nice angle. Okay? And speaking of angles, watch how this angle almost matches the angle in the trophy position. Look at it. Here's his trophy. There it is. And now watch how he gets a full rotation around and reverses the shoulder positions and gets it there. There's the core of your power right there, folks. Using the leg drive and the left arm pull away to get that shoulder rotation is critical to generating a lot of power in your serve. Okay, all right, let's advance forward. Let's have a little fun here. Take a look at Tommy hitting a couple kick serves here. And I want to go back here because I think he hits another flat serve here first. Yeah, that's fairly flat, isn't it? Yeah, it's fairly flat. Let's take a look. And what I want to do here is I want to compare the fairly flat serve or the flat slice serve contact, and we're going to compare that ball placement. There it is. And we're going to put a mark there, okay, because I love to do this. We'll put a mark there, and we're going to put a mark at his contact. And look at that contact right between the shoulder and the ear. I can clean that up and make that better. There we go. That's perfect. Racket's on a slight angle of contact. Let's keep those lines there. And let's advance forward to his next serve, which is a kick serve. Watch the difference now. He is going to go for the big kicker. Watch where the contact is. Wow. This is why he needs that extra flex in his back. And he's so fit. Look at this right there. Now, what we want to note here is look how far to the left the contact is from the original contact. I would say that's at least 24 inches. But more importantly, maybe, perhaps, or just as importantly, is look at the angle the racket's on at contact versus the other one, which is more almost vertical, right? Look at that. That's a beautiful, beautiful topspin serve he's hitting. Now, here in this angle, you can actually see the left hand more clearly. Here he comes, and here comes the left hand, and watch it hold the whole time the racket's rising. Look, the left hand is sitting right there. So for those of you trying to keep your left arm up, it's just blocking you from getting the action you need on your serve. And look at how interesting how that left hand comes down and then it pulls in as you make contact. It pulls into the body because it holds you still. Now, you might be thinking, well, why couldn't we see the left hand on that serve previously? Well, now that he's a kick serve, he's actually playing a kick serve. He's deliberately going to stay sideways. And look how his elbow doesn't project as much forward. And that allows his racket to sweep across from a left to right position. Watch how it sweeps across. Look at that. Okay? And because it's staying more sideways than he would be on a serve where he's going forward. So if we go back to the previous one, what's this? He's going to go more forward with his swing. He's going to face the net more. His elbow's leading. Look how his elbow's leading in more. And look how the elbow goes forward. He's hitting that flatter serve, isn't he? Now if we go over here and compare that to his kick serve, you'll see how he stays sideways more. He's going to stay sideways, and the elbow's going to stay behind more and swing across. See, that's the elbow never really projects towards the target, and nor does the swing. It goes from left to right. Look at that sweeping left to right action. Okay, he'd have to do that because of the way where the placement of the ball is, but the placement of the ball is very deliberate. Okay, so many great things that Tommy does on his serve. Finally, he does get that palm. I think I mentioned this earlier. The palm is up so that when he pulls away, it's facing the target. Okay, look at the strength on that left hand. So for those of you who don't really understand the left hand, watch how the left arm looks so strong all the way from here. Watch it. And it's power and control in the shoulder. Watch it. Watch how it's strong here, way past vertical. Leads him well into this trophy position. That's a beautiful. Now watch how strong it is when it pulls away. Look how it's got tension. It's actually controlling this movement. Look at that. And then tucking and holding. Look at that. Okay. And the reason why his palm is up, because it engages the bicep muscle and holds the power in that left arm as he's coming through contact. Then when the ball's gone, he can finally relax the left hand and let it go. Okay. So many takeaways from this analysis of Tommy's serve. I think he's got a very, very good serve concept-wise. I think he tosses the ball a little bit more behind his head than I would recommend for most recreational players. But the rhythm, the tempo, the setup, the consistency in his practice, the grip, everything is ideal. So hopefully there's some things you can take away from this video. Please go ahead and leave your comments down below. Give us a like. If you haven't subscribed to the channel, please do so. We've got a lot more coming here at Performance Plus Tennis that'll help your serve. And thanks so much for watching today's lesson, and I hope to see you again in the next video.